Hey, everybody. How you doing tonight? We're back. Welcome to the 29th episode of the Prospecting Buddy Digging Deeper podcast. Tonight we got special guest, Mr. Ed Marvin, Mr. Flash in Your Pan, Mr. Tuesday Night Hangout Live, myself, Arrow Bremer, and over there, Mr. Jerome Colnay. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing phenomenal. How you doing, Ed?
Absolutely fabulous. You know?
Everybody had a good day?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They're all good days anymore. Well, I guess we'll start off like we always do. Ed, what got you into gold prospecting from the very beginning?
Well, I was living up in Skagit Valley, Washington, and I was down in Anaheim at my foster brother's house. And he was watching Gold Fever with the buzzard, George Massey. And he was watching it like every time I was over there.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I inquired from there, and once I got back up to Washington, I got into the history of the area, the mining history of Washington and Skagit Valley and Whatcom County and Snohomish and all that, and Okanagan. You know how it is, guys. It's just like you're hungry.
Hungry for knowledge.
Yeah, it's a great place to be for it too, right? I mean,
yeah, where I lived, I had a stream in my backyard. Right, it came out of Crown Pacific property, and I had salmon and gold in my own backyard. So
there's nothing better than that, man. Get yourself a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. You gotta take your fishing pole and your gold pan. Ain't nothing better than that.
Oh, in that creek, I could almost step across Muddy Creek that went through my backyard. So, shoot, if you're catching any fish out of there, it's like bare necessity. Woo!
No, that's awesome. One thing that I did want to ask you, around what age were you when you first actually started doing that? And when you first started researching?
I was married then, so
make him think hard.
I was like 32 years old.
Wow.
I'm 60 now, so
wow, many years ago, many moons ago.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So back then, I'm sure the rules and regulations were much different.
Oh yeah. Washington was still pretty strict, and we did have the golden fish pamphlet, but it's nothing like it is now. Dredging was no real big deal. Yeah, we had
guidelines,
our dates and stuff.
Yeah.
Like on my claims, I only had a month, and I never understood it. A month to dredge on Upper Finney Creek, and I tried getting it changed. I'm like, I have 4 waterfalls below my flipping claim. No way is any salmon spawning on my claim.
Right.
I feel like no. So, but
I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, 30 years ago, over here mining your claims and whatnot. What was the kind of equipment you were using back then? Was it just the good old beam, the good old Pro Line? What was it?
Back then, I had a wood header box, my boiler box on my high banker that I shoved a river sluice in it. I made it out of crap that was laying around in my shop because I've always been in construction. So,
See, that's badass.
Simple. Keene River Sluice, 852 or whatever it is.
Yep.
My 4-inch dredge in Washington. Then I went had one of American Gold dredges by Alan Trees, Gold Grabber.
Wow. Wow.
I also had a Gold Grabber high bank or two. Uh, I had a Gold King 2-inch, but that was after I got in with Daryl Grimbley and Cedro Woolley. We had Paystreak Enterprises. That's when I had the dredges and more high bankers and stuff like that. Before that, it was kind of low budget, all do it yourself equipment.
When did you finally well, first off, we got a really awesome comment here from Otis Ferris Prospecting. He says Ed still has the hair of a 32-year-old.
Otis, bro. Otis will be at Flash Bash. He's a Washington homeboy. He's
That's
from
awesome.
Cedro Woolley, but he lives more down by you now, Eero. I know Jaren's in Spokane.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know he was over here in Washington. That's actually pretty badass.
Yeah, he's a West Side boy.
Yeah, West Side boy. I was gonna say, yeah, born and raised over here on the east side of Washington. But it's funny because the majority of guys I know here in Washington now is over on the west Arrow. I mean, man, I can go forever. Casey. I mean, yeah, Rick, whole bunch of guys over there. Great group of guys. But back to the topic, I really wanted to ask. So you had put together some equipment to get some dirt moving.
Oh yeah, if you're serious, granted, there's a love of prospecting where it's exploring, testing, and stuff, but
Getting out there,
I'm not a prospector for a big mining company.
right?
And I was out there just doing it and starting to get in the lifestyle. Then you find your first wild gold, and then you're like, okay,
You
the
get into
more
the niche.
gravels I move, the more gold I get. And 1+1 = 2. Next thing you
Yeah,
know, it's a river sluice, and you're like, how can I move more?
it's always a fever. It's always a fever. Like you have the gold fever, and then you have the equipment fever.
So there's a high banker comes to mind for moving more, and then it's like I want to get into the gut. So
Yeah.
it's either stand in the water shoveling or dredge, and then if you want to get in the water,
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of sniping up there because on my claims on Upper Finney Creek, the water never, as long as I had those claims, I had 2 partners though, but yes, I dredged for 2 hours in a 5 mil suit, 10 mil in the chest, a Farmer John suit. So I had 10 mil in the chest, and still after 2 hours, I'm a skinny guy. I don't have a lot of meat on my bones. I get cold easy. I'd come out all purple and I'd be hugging a fire for an hour to
Yeah.
warm up to get wet again. But I had 2 brothers from Bremerton that were my mining partners, Doug and Don Skeens. And we had 3 claims up on the upper Nooksack and then one on the Klamath River in Northern California.
So
Some
the
good
claim,
gold.
so the claims over here in Washington. Once you guys started dredging and whatnot, the claims over here in Washington, were they decently profitable? Was it something where once you finally found your niche, or you could say, I guess, your pay streak?
I don't think I ever got into anything where maybe it'd pay wages. and
Right.
fuel.
Right.
I had 3 kids, a stay-at-home wife, prospected when I could. I couldn't make a full-time job out of it.
Right.
So, but there were some finds where definitely, to be honest, I made more money being a miner, mining the miners with Paystreak Enterprises and Cedar Woolley. But then again, I had a job to keep that going too with
Right.
Daryl.
Right.
So he had a full-time job to keep that going. So it's kind of
It was kind of a catch-22.
yeah. We had a prospecting store because it was related to something we loved in our lifestyle of gold prospecting and small-scale mining.
Right.
Man, I'd love to do something like that, but it's just such a small industry anymore. It's hard to stay
It
alive.
is, and it's hard. It's kind of like pay dirt companies, you know. They go broke to keep it going because they love it so much, and they love the reviews they read because someone needs it. They're chairbound, let's say. They can't get out. They live vicariously through, like Jeff Williams and Pioneer Polly and
Right.
Chris Vogas and guys like that, you or whoever,
Right.
and um, they get their kicks
They do it for the
panning. They
passion.
get their flash in their pan
Right.
in their living room because that's the only way they can, or they do it when they have cabin fever. But I know a lot of good people that give good dirt for the buck, you know, but I don't
No, and that's
really hardly know anyone that made a killing at it.
yeah.
Maybe Dave at Gold Bay. If you're a miner, if you mine it,
Yeah.
like Emily Rydell,
Right.
Dave from Gold Bay, and
Right.
others, if you mine it, by all means, it's one way to get it without a lot of risk going through other middlemen and stuff. Just bag it up and ship it out. But if you're buying gold to sell gold to try and make money,
For profit, yeah. And that's the thing too, is when you look at all the different pay dirt sellers that are out there, all the different pay dirt sellers, all the way up to what Emily's doing over there in Nome with her pay dirt sales. The cool thing is that I do actually enjoy seeing is the extra perks that people actually get when they do purchase the pay dirt. They'll get some sort of T-shirt, this, that, and the other, and it kind of helps with that extra gap of ROI, I guess you could say. And there's a lot of people out there that's all for the ROI, but at the end of the day,
yeah, I have a word for them too.
well, and we've said this a million times. We've had Dave on the show. We've had a bunch of different really awesome guys on the show. Your ROI, regardless, you're not going to make any money off the dirt. So,
You'll lose money.
yeah. So when looking at the ROI, I mean, it's going to fluctuate no matter where you go. If you have the most trusted seller, you're still going to have a fluctuated ROI based on gold spot prices at that time. So
Right.
regardless, you're never going to get that ROI that you're dreaming of, I guess you could say. It's
And
always
it
I don't
depends
know
on
who
your
would.
business model too. If you're a buyer seller, a pay dirt guy like some, or if you're a miner pay dirt guy like some we know, I'm
right.
sure they could get you to your 100% return on investment. Where
Right.
this guy over here, no way in Hades can he.
You're going to get even close with that guy. Yeah, no, and I've
I
seen
know.
that a lot.
I've seen a 5-pound bag of pay dirt that had like 3 specks of gold in it.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately.
there's a few. If I buy pay dirt, like sometimes I'll get pay dirt from my chapter, my GPAA chapter. I know the guy who does it. He's honest, and I know I'll get 80% of spot.
Right. Well, for anybody out there that's trying to buy pay dirt and get a super high ROI, first and foremost, do your research. Make sure you're going with a well established company. Yeah, Gold Bay.
I
Yeah,
Point for Gold.
yeah. A lot of those. Yeah. Yep.
There's some good names and reputable ones out there. Then there's some that are like these unbelievable.
What's that one called? What's that one called that we see on Facebook all the dang time?
Golden?
Is it
Golden Pay Dirt?
Yeah.
Golden Pay Dirt?
That is the absolute worst company to ever get your gold pay dirt. They'll send you 4 or 5 bags or 10 bags, right? And you get all super excited. And I'm sure there's been so many people that, they pay that extra premium. You get 1,000 billion text messages on your phone every day from them. If you buy 3 more, don't ever go through golden pay dirt sales. That is like the absolute worst.
Yeah.
You want to get
they're as bad as the guy that's whoever supplied that bag you got that was 5 pounds with 3 specks in it.
I didn't buy it. No, it was a gift for my boss.
Oh, now free gold is free gold, I'll take anyone's bag. If you have pay dirt bag out there, send it to Flash in your pan.
Yeah, if you don't want it.
130, Texas, Ohio.
That reminds me, did you ever get around to panning that bag that you won?
No, it's right behind me, behind my wall, Wizard of Oz wall right here. It's in my drawer. I need to get out in the shop and pan it out, but I have it with some dirt from Brian Wilder. You guys on YouTube will know Brian as American Gold Prospectors.
Yeah, we had him on our podcast. He's a phenomenal dude.
No, he's a great personal friend of mine.
Yeah.
I think I got one for my birthday or Christmas or something, but it's back. It's
You're holding on to all the goodies for wintertime is what Ed's doing over here. He's just stockpiling. So that
I keep most of my concentrates for wintertime.
Right.
Serves him up on a silver platter, wears a tuxedo.
But, I always try to have some buckets of dirt, a lot, the better. The more the better. For winter time. That's if I can keep my shop heated enough, my water don't freeze.
I try to do that. I cannot do that. I don't have the patience. I'm like, there's gold in that bag over there.
Yeah, I end up running my dirt probably 3 or 4 different times, knowing that there's nothing in it, and I'm still running it, setting it up, setting the whole equipment up in the garage, the whole works. I mean,
my practice is run it till you get nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got a bucket of dirt I need to run 2 or 3 more times.
I'll tell you what, I got a buddy, Adam, if you're watching this, it's time to go through that 5-gallon bucket. But I got a buddy by the name of Adam. He's had this 5-gallon bucket.
Adam who?
Adam Carlson.
Okay.
He kind of pops up every once in a while.
I was kind of wondering if you were referring to California Gold Rush.
Oh, I got you. I know who you're talking about. No, my buddy Adam, he's had this 5-gallon bucket of dirt that's some pretty dang good gold concentrate from an old claim from one of James's old claims. And, it was really, really good dirt. We're talking when we were first testing, when I came over and did a test, we had 20 to 30 colors in the pan. Absolutely insane. But yeah, Adam's had this 5-gallon bucket of dirt filled to the brim for probably going on a little over a year now. And I keep telling him, I'm like, man, why don't you just go through it? And he goes, he says, I panned through just a little bit of it and got it spilt on my back porch and it stained the concrete. So he's put it to the side, I guess, for a special day or something like that. But
I got a buddy who's got like this much in the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket, and I know it's chock full of gold because I saw it run through the sluice. He's like, oh, the grass has overgrown the bucket. I'll get to it. I'm like, come on, dude. I want to know.
You're like foaming at the mouth.
I want to know.
I think we all have buckets in the garage that need to be run through.
Yeah,
I know I do.
Yeah, I still got some. I have it's like a 20 or 30 gallon tote. It's a pretty big tote. And as you know, and everybody else knows, I just moved into our forever home. And my old lady's like, "Are you going to toss that dang bin that's been sitting there with all that dirt?" And I said, "No, do not touch it. That is off limits." And I put that bad boy in the U-Haul and I brought it here and it's sitting in the garage.
Touch it. Oh,
Yep.
that reminds me. After my divorce, I actually took, like, those sparklet water bottles, 5-gallon water bottles.
Oh, yeah.
I filled up like 20 gallons of my well water when I left the house. And I went down to Palm Springs to work. I had work. Before I got there, I had work. And people are like, "What's that water?" I'm like, "Oh, that's from my spring on my property
Right.
from Washington. Can I have some?" No.
Gram of gold. You can have a cup.
I'll give you 1 cup for a gram of gold. Make that 2 grams.
Especially the prices nowadays, man. Holy moly. I wanted to dig in just a skosh into the Ed in your shed. So I've talked to
You're going back ways,
yeah,
Rob.
I've talked to a bunch of amazing
Rob.
yeah, I've talked to a bunch of amazing individuals, and we've gotten to be friends, over time and whatnot. And it's funny because Ed in the Shed gets brought up every once in a while, and I did my
back some years.
Oh yeah, I did my due diligence, and so I wanted to ask you a few questions about it. To start that off, I wanted to ask, what made you decide to want to come up with Ed in the Shed? What was your idea behind it?
Okay, well, I was already back here in Ohio, and my oldest boy at the time was living in the same area by Olympia he is now. And my ex-wife sort of said, "Here's your younger brother." I kind of took off with some guy up by Gold Bar. And you know how far Oli is from Gold Bar, Washington,
Right.
And
About 3 hours, yeah.
my youngest is a lot like his old man, and in a way, at that age, it wasn't probably a good thing for my oldest boy to be going through when he's living with his girlfriend and stuff. And
Right.
so I went out there, and like what planned to be like 3 months turned into more like 9 months.
Oh wow.
And that's where I started getting back into prospecting more. And I'm back in Washington, okay, kids, dealing with the kids and stuff. And then my mom ended up getting her foot amputated. So I was going back and forth from like Olympia to Woodland,
Oh wow,
Vancouver
jumping back
area.
and forth, yeah.
Going back and forth, and I'd stay a little bit down here, and I kind of fingered out when she was doing an activity or in the hospital getting her leg amputated, and I was working
No
on
better
her
than yourself.
place. I
Yeah.
was making a wheelchair ramp there, so I was remodeling her back porch and stuff. And when I had time, I'd take off up the East Fork Lewis River or more some other creeks in the area. And um, I if you look back, I mean way back in my channel, I just started filming it. I checked out some YouTubers, looked for YouTube, just became I guess it was past its dating site. moment.
kind of
And
thing.
it was to a video share site.
Right.
So I got an account. I think it was '08, and I was searching for prospecting in the area in Washington and stuff, and
Trying to get a little more connected, right?
there
Right.
was like no one.
Right.
And I knew Northwest Washington pretty well, Snohomish, Skagit, and Whatcom County, but I didn't know Lewis and Clark County and those by the gorge,
Right.
Um, but all I could find was the legend Darcy Cooper, but he taught me to think out of the stream also and look for high benches and think out of the creek, which I learned a lot from Darcy. Um, but I was just filming on the stream stuff then. And then when I got back to Ohio, I didn't have the equipment I used to have before my divorce and
Right.
all
Right. Right.
that, and before I left Washington, and so I started, okay, what could I build to do it, So I'd accumulate stuff, or I'd drag I'd actually I did a dredge, a 2-inch dredge, was all PVC piping, wood cord, PVC frame,
Jeez.
a corrugated truck bed liner for the sluice box, and I'm fabricated the header all out of what I cut out of that truck bed liner. And I made my own nozzle, and I thought I'd film it while I do it. And I was a low budget prospector starting from zero again.
Yeah.
And how could I help the prospector on a budget? But I'm not a great teacher, so you don't get schematics. You don't get a step by step this. You get to see me run through it and build it.
Build it hands on. Yep.
But yeah, I actually used that 2-inch dredge here for like 2.5 years, and then I sold it. And then it was used for a long time after that, until a very cold day ended up breaking the original nozzle that I made out of PVC piping.
That's pretty damn phenomenal. That's that, like I said, I've seen some home builds, and we see some home builds from time to time in the prospecting buddy family, and it just always blows my mind the creativity that people come up with. They see something sitting on the shelf for this, and
Prospectors are the most, I would say, the most ingenuitive, backwards engineering MS that I've ever come across. They're all, they should all be mechanical engineers.
They should. Oh yeah, yeah.
One of the first videos I remember seeing when I first got into prospecting was this guy that had a draw knife. You know what a draw knife is for slicing up wood? It's got two handles, 90 degrees.
Right.
And so he took that, a handful of screws, and a hammer out into the forest. He might have had a little handsaw, cut down this log, took the draw knife, tapped out boards, just pulled it through and tapped out 1x6s approximately, and then took the nails he brought and tapped those in, and then he cut up just riffles going across and tapped those in, then he stuck it in the river, and this is the whole video, and then just started shoveling into it.
Oh, that's cool.
Got some gold. It's like, that is the coolest thing I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I can bring up for a highlight, I'd say for 2020 or 2021 would be the fry basket. And it's funny because if you think about it, fry baskets are essentially a classifier in itself. Well, this guy had
Mark
taken,
Knacker.
yeah, he had taken a fry basket and basically made it his screening mechanism for his I want to say high banker, I guess it was.
It was his arbor classifier.
It was an actual fry basket. Yeah, it was his arbor. Exactly.
Oh, been there, done it.
And I saw him shaking it. Yeah, I saw him shaking it and shoveling in. I'm like, man, that is a great idea. I mean, just taking anything you can and really making it work and getting gold. I mean, that in itself.
Spaghetti codral. What's those things you rinse off your spaghetti noodles in?
Oh,
those work pretty good too.
Oh yeah, the one with the holes in it. Yeah, those work too. Oh yeah, that fry basket. I thought about the life of that fry basket. It probably originally had a ton of fries go through it, and here it is in a high banker on a creek somewhere, helping somebody get gold.
Like makes you wonder, did he go get a burger somewhere and he looked in the kitchen and he's like, I need one of those.
That would work perfect.
We got a comments here.
Stainless steel too. That won't rust.
Right. We got a couple comments here. Let's see. We got one from Rob that says, where did it go here? They've been coming through like crazy, so I'm trying to keep up. Evergreen Prospector says, I remember the old days of Ed. And then Rob says, he says, I got into prospecting after watching Ed's video gold on the Auglaize River.
Yeah, that's a river that runs not far from me. It's a little farther from Rob. I actually found an arrowhead on that river while prospecting too.
That's awesome. That's absolutely
and
awesome.
Also found an area. I saw Jim McQuarrie, the owner of Cottonwood Trails.
Yeah, Jim McIntyre.
Jim McIntyre in here. And I actually found an arrowhead at Cottonwood Trails before too, while classifying. But the one on the Auglaize I almost threw out. I about fell in the quarry hole where I was panning because it's an old 1800s quarry hole, and it was coming out of a turn on the Auglaize River by the pump station on 224. Rob, you might know what I'm talking about. Upstream, there's a 90-degree turn, and it goes from gravelly to bedrock, and then it steps down into an 1800s quarry.
Wow.
And I panned in there because anywhere else the water was way too shallow, and I was working the gravels up, chasing the bedrock into the gravels, working the cracks and stuff. And I had it in my classifier, and I'm like, I'm not thinking nuggets or nothing in my part of Ohio.
Right.
And I just start to throw it, and I'm about midway, and I see a point, and I'm like, whoa. Oh, almost fell in, but I saved the arrowhead. So
that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Yeah, bringing up Jim McIntyre, we got a phenomenal announcement toward the end of the podcast that we have something really awesome going on back east. It'll be the first week of August. We'll get into more details. But yeah, Jim, absolutely phenomenal guy. From just briefly speaking to him, talking with him about everything, getting everything planned out and things like that. You know, what he has going on over there is absolutely phenomenal as far as
he's come a long ways with his gold camp. It's a nice spot. Yeah, porta potties around, well maintained. some
Yeah.
decent gold and artifacts come
Yeah.
out of there, fossils.
Yeah.
It's
That sounds
It's
I
exciting. It makes me want to actually go to what we got going on this summer. It all boils down to, like we were talking about earlier, Ed, when someone has a full-time job, it's just a nightmare to try to get the time off and this, that, and the other.
I hear you, brother.
And it's like, you get invited to so many different places with such amazing people that you've grown connections with. And, working a full-time job is just absolutely impossible. I mean, you pick one or two for the season and the season's done. And then you focus on next season. And, you if it was up to me, I'd love to be able to go to all the different areas, work some ground, meet some awesome people, eat some good food. But that's like we were talking about earlier, that full-time job. You still got to have bills to pay. You still have so many things going on in your life that it can't get put on hold. It can't get put on hold.
Let me mute for a minute while I yell at my cat, Jaron.
Go for it. Go for it. In the meantime, guys, we do have some exciting announcements with a lot of really cool stuff going on. Oh, I thought that was going to be a little longer. But like we were talking about earlier this week, we went live right around like 8 p.m. on Monday. We got a lot of really cool stuff going on. And we want to announce just a little bit of it at the end of the podcast. We're trying to connect with a lot of different clubs and things like that to bring a lot more to the PB family and more access and things like that. So hopefully you guys stay tuned till the end of the podcast. We'll drop some announcements. But back to what we were talking about, Ed. You're a phenomenal. You're so, dude. You have so much knowledge and education and history, and like so many people know you, and like love what you're doing. The Flash in Your Pan fam. You guys got the Flash going on. I mean, all the stuff that you guys are doing is just absolutely phenomenal. When I went on you guys' podcast, I was a bit nervous because Ed's been doing this for years and years and years, and here comes this ugly mug jumping on what you guys got going on.
It was a great time having you and James on the show. I was expecting Euro there too, but
I know I suck.
Well, that's the awesome thing about all the guys that are in the PB family, and now Tina as our first woman on the board, is all of us has grown connections in different ways. You know what I mean? And James, after all of his hard work, strives, dedication to what he does and what he loves, he got an opportunity of a lifetime, and he'll be busy all summer. He's going to be checking in with us and giving us all the updates. And there's a lot of people that are pretty excited about, his season once the snow stops, of course, and the rain and whatever else have you. But and the water levels drop. But James is on his own adventure. He's on his own full-time mining gig.
That's awesome.
And, he is extremely blessed to be able to have that opportunity. And, we kind of went back to the drawing board and we said, okay, well, James is doing his thing. And, we got to have another co-host, someone else that can jump on the podcast and have a lot of fun. And, of course, I asked Arrow, and, Arrow's still in learning, but I think he's doing an absolutely phenomenal job. And
I'm going on 5 years and I'm still learning, dude.
Right.
It never ends.
It never ends.
It's been a wild ride. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
I still feel like I'm lacking a beard.
I think you are.
Yeah, this is my best attempt.
I'll send him some Rogaine. I'll send you some Rogaine, buddy. See if that works for you. Yeah, just 2 to 3 times a day, and you should be able to come out with something like this, I'm sure.
Yeah. A red beard.
I hope not. You might want to go get checked out then. But back to the topic, Ed. So you got through the divorce. You went over to Ohio.
Yeah.
You started getting your roots kind of established in Ohio. At what point in time, I guess you could say, were you able to really start going back out to the creeks and things like that? Did it take a couple of years for you to be able to get back out and do what you love?
Well, once I came back, I was out on the hunting down ground as soon as I could. Places I could access legally,
Right.
and which I ended up hitting around a lot of fishing spots.
Right.
Then I had some friends with farmland that I just went up and asked, "Hey, mind if I play around the creek? What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm looking for gold and whatnot." "Oh, gold? There ain't no gold in Ohio. What are you, nuts?" Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that because we just added Mr. MVP Joe Brickner, and that guy. I don't know how he does it, or what's going on, but that guy, he says, "Oh yeah, there's no gold here," and then he pulls gold out, and
Don't let no one fool you. There's gold here in Indiana, but don't ask me where.
Well, and that's perfectly understandable. The funny thing is, though, Joe goes over there and meets a lot of awesome people over there, gets good connections, and so that's why I was asking you. When you first got into Ohio, did it take a while to be able to establish enough roots to be able to get on some good property to do what you love?
Well, I knew of the Buckeye chapter. So I joined them, and I knew the GPAA had several leases here.
Right.
Then I ended up hooking up with the Ohio State Prospectors Association also, and they have a few more leases, so there's more ground. And then there's a lease in southern Ohio, a property in southern Ohio, which was a pay-to-dig place, which had our better gold is like in Jim's area of Indiana and southern Ohio, southwest Ohio around Cincinnati and stuff. That's where the majority of the bigger gold and quantity of gold is. It's the furthest push of the glaciers, the first and second,
Right.
So all I had up near me is a lot of fines and once in a while a decent flake.
Right.
But
Really had to work for it up in your area, I'm assuming.
yeah, well, my area, it's northwest central, more or less, instead of northwest. But we were the southern part of glacial Lake Maumee. And then that turned into the Black Swamp. So the geology is a lot of silt loam and clay on bedrock. And yeah, there's glacial erratics dropped here and there, but a lot of our bedrocks, our bedrock here is a limestone.
Right.
So it's still prospecting, but what may apply in the Okanagan or in Skagit Valley or down on the Skycomish or Index or Salton River,
right,
isn't going to necessarily apply to the material I'm running.
Right. Well, and we were talking about that. We were talking about that quite a bit in our conference call on Tuesday. We have another really cool surprise coming out, but we were talking about the different materials in different states, what you kind of run across. And, Montana has its own special type of stuff you run across, devil's dice, this, that, and the other, schist, and then Oregon and Washington, and then all the way back east, like you said, you're dealing with silt, heavy clay, things like that. And then the composition.
That's this part of the state. Now,
right.
There's other parts where I'm working bedrock and I'm crevicing, and the way the topography was like a rock in the river during the glacial time, and I'm on the bottom side of that high point working,
Right.
and you have more consistent gravels and stuff, and some gravel bars are down by where you have a good mixture of gravel beds and stuff down like where Jim is in southern Ohio.
Right.
But where I am, it's you have a lot of like more local stone. It's jagged, and your gravel beds are a little different.
Right. Yeah. Michael over here, Michael Crawford. Oh yeah, might as well make the announcement while we're at it here. Michael Crawford is the new PB representative over there in Arizona. So first and foremost, congrats, Michael. Big ups to you, brother man. We'll get in contact here soon. But aside from that, he just made a comment, and he said over in Arizona, there's caliche. So
yeah, caliche. It's if I understand, I didn't work a lot. Never did any dry land mining, but caliche is a hard pan.
right.
I believe uh, it's definitely a hard pack. It's like concrete.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the hard pan in the Rogue River in Southwest Oregon.
Right.
Once you hit that hard pan, you might as well have dynamite.
No, yeah, and that's what we're talking about is like each state, and even within a state, if we want to get here and be technical, it varies, but in a general speaking aspect, the different types of materials in different states and east side, west side. It's pretty crazy, and we kind of, actually, we kind of came up with some sort of idea for allow people to be able to try all different stuff out, from all different states, from West Coast, East Coast, just everything. And that gives them the opportunity. Let's say they go on you got a retired couple who wants to go on a vacation, and they want to test out what's over there and kind of get used to it, bring the correct equipment. I see a lot of people, they try to use a specific mat, a specific device, whether it's the A52 or, all sorts of different devices. But what I've came to realize, and what a lot of people is starting to realize and have for years, is different material works differently on specific mats and specific devices. It's always different. You can't use this in this specific state with this specific setup, as far as mat goes, yada, 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 and then expect it to work the same, in a different perspective state. So the material is always going to be different, and it's always intrigued me as far as material goes. So I'm assuming when you move
material and topography too,
right?
Like where I work, I mostly dredge because I don't have the vertical drop and the water volume to run a river sluice.
Right,
it's slack water.
It's pretty slow moving water. Other parts of the state, it's then again same state, different zones require different tools.
Different positions. Yep. No, that's so what I was saying was excuse me. So when you moved from Washington to Ohio, I'm sure it was a a decent enough different experience as far as material goes from what you were running over there versus what you were running in Ohio.
Yeah,
So
switch up the tool, make something that try to make something that works.
and so another question, jumping on that, I just have a million questions, so I hope
No worries.
I hope you're ready for it, man. But so to add on to that, did you end up bringing Ed in the Shed over to Ohio with you, or
No, Ed in the Shed. I didn't do no Ed in the Sheds while I was in the birth of Flash in Your Pan. Flash in Your Pan didn't even start off as Flash in Your Pan.
right?
At that time, I had an action sporting goods store in Delphus before I moved, or I didn't move to Washington. I just went back to help family, help kids, then mom. And, 3 months turned into 9 months.
Right.
But it started off for a way for me to save my action sporting goods store, which was, yeah, you're gonna laugh, snowboards, because there is a little. I laughed the first time I saw the ski hill down here. Judy's like, "There's our mountain." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Our
I got a couple.
bunny hills are bigger than that." But um, I skateboards, paintball, woods ball was my bread and butter. It was no football, baseball,
Right.
none of that. It wasn't that type of sporting goods store. There's enough of them in my area. It's like football, baseball, and store here, store there, wherever at the time.
Right.
And I had that place for like 5, 6 years. And then, what happened in '08, we
Right.
went through a little recession. People didn't have the money to play. I wasn't giving up yet. And I made the YouTube channel to promote that, but I started it in Washington, and what was I doing? I brought
So,
some of my stuff with me, but I wasn't paintballing and I wasn't snowboarding and I wasn't doing this. I was getting in the water looking for color, and that's kind of where it went. But I call myself low budget videos or something like that. Low budget productions and the Danger Zone production, because my store was the Danger Zone Action Sports.
Oh wow.
And um, and that's what it started. And then when I came back here, I started making stuff to get out on the creek, and that's kind of the birth of Ed in the Shed. And just,
That's awesome.
it was
so
a
when did you reach a point where you're like, I'm not going to miss a week? How many episodes are you? How many
now
consecutive weeks
that's
are you?
Tuesday night Hangout Live. That's a whole different monster.
So
Okay, I was monetized, right, with YouTube. I met all their
I'll
P's
do
and
it.
Q's and I was monetized, right? And then they changed the rules of the game and you had to have 4,000 watch hours or whatever it was. I don't remember right offhand. And over 1,000 subscribers and all that. And so I had the subscribers, but I did not have the watch time. So live streaming was just like in its birth, in its uh,
Infancy.
right, righty road. So I started that, and boy, were they bad. You want to see some bad, shitty live streams, check out the first. And there's, if you look back at those, there's different names. And then I was bouncing back. I bought a better laptop and um, stuff, and I was bouncing back, playing with chroma key and stuff like that. And oh, god awful! It looked bad.
I was gonna say that's the same thing that happened when I first started the podcast. Is I bought this little cheap webcam, and I'm like, we got to talking all the guys, and they're like, yeah, start a podcast, and I'm like, is anybody gonna jump on with me? And it was kind of like, no, not right now. We're still in industry, and I'm like, okay, so we have a great idea, but I'm kind of scared to do it. All right, fine. So if you watch my very first episode. Of course, I had to have Shannon of all people, super awesome, badass guy, and so I'm sitting here terrified, I'm stuttering every other word, I'm looking away, I'm typing. It was just a god awful first episode. So I feel your pain, Ed. I totally understand.
Yeah, and for your first episode to have someone like Shannon Poe on.
I should have started off a little easier with someone else, but I'm like, I don't know. I like Arrow says all the time, man, you put too much stuff on your plate, dude. You got to take some stuff off your plate. I'm like, nah, I got it. And then when it comes down to it, I'm like, oh, what do I do? So,
but I started it for watch time hours, and then I love the interaction with the community. Oddest. I'm sorry, Facebookers. I'm looking at YouTube right now because that's my general target audience is YouTube. Sorry. I used to multi-stream, but I thought I was cheating on the other. And it's hard to pay attention to the chat. That's one great thing about bringing in 3 other co-hosts. But I love the instant gratification, the instant between us and the live chat. And I would bounce back from Thursday to Tuesday. And Ronald, he's traveling to some UFO thing in New York now. But Ronald from Earth Radio goes, I've known him for a while. He goes, oh, Ed, I want to watch the show and support the show and blah, blah, blah. Tuesdays would work best for me. So I'm like, okay, Tuesday, all for you.
Just like him. You actually sounded just like him too, right on the money.
and I nail him on it still to this day. If he's late, I get on him. Last week, as Mr. Lodak says, Earth Radio's live now, and I'm like, what? And he ain't here? Let's raid him. And we raided him live on the air, but he always has other managers on his channel, so it's trying to be a radio station where they always have some kind of talk show or something going on. It wasn't him actually. He was driving to New York, but we raided anyway, and like, Ronald, you're supposed to be in my chat. But then I ended up hooking with Toledo Jazz, all through YouTube.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Dano, all through YouTube. And Dano had his own channel. Jesse showed me a product because I was known at the Ed in the Shed, the do-it-yourselfer at the Swank West,
DIY,
which is the home of the Buckeye chapter. And Jesse's like, check out this. It's the Gold Snare made by Robert Woodhouse out of Idaho. It's a submersible. It was a 12-volt submersible 1-inch dredge. And I'm like, oh, pretty cool. And we kind of became prospecting buddies, and now he's my brother. He's my best friend, And
That's cool.
He's my number one co-host on Tuesday Night Hangout Live. But my mentality with now my auctions, if I cancel, no big deal.
Right.
My donation rises if I cancel or it's late,
Right.
no big deal. But once I made that solid date for Tuesday night Hangout Live
Right.
on the slot, no way in hell am I gonna miss that day.
You've been killing it too, man.
I have yet, and June 22nd will be 5 years that I
Wow.
have missed a Tuesday night Hangout Live. I've
That's
actually lost
impressive.
power 10, 15 minutes before the show. My guests, I get my guests back on Skype on my cell phone.
Yeah.
I lost power, guys. There's lightning. I'm getting power. Bear with me. They're in my back pocket on
Right.
speakerphone while I'm plugging into my neighbor's house because they have a Generac house generator.
Right.
So
Wow.
I'm outside scratching my head,
Running around like a chicken with
and
your head cut
Steve
off.
comes out his door and says, "Hey, Ed, don't you have a show soon?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, shoot!" And he goes, "Need to use power?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I was just heading that way." So I have two extension cords going into my house. Hell, going to the refrigerator. One went to my
That's some
router,
dedication
and the
right there.
others came to my computer and lights. And the show went on.
Wow.
Um,
Dedication.
yeah, but I'm sure Jesse and Dano and Rose would tell you. Yeah, he's really anal about that show must go on stuff. But it's just Tuesday night Hangout Live, and I think it's grown into shoot, Heavy Meadow. I've met
It's such
Heavy and
I mean,
Otis.
I
All
have to
these
say,
guys I met through it.
it's for me like when I jump on, I'll jump on as much as I can, but there's been a couple that I've jumped on and the camaraderie with everybody just talking with each other, and then the special guests that you have on. I mean, there's just this aura and this vibe to it, and you've grown it into such a badass freaking Tuesday night hangout where everybody's
Thank you.
looking forward to it. They it's yeah. I mean, I'm speechless as far as how much dedication, how much time, how much effort you put into it. But it shows because when I'm in that chat room and I'm seeing the special guests you guys got on and what you guys are talking about, I'm excited to be a part of it. Like just me sitting in my bedroom
That's
with the light
that's
off with my bed propped up.
part of my goals, Jaron, is
Yeah,
you're cube buddy, all of you. I don't care what part of the hand you're in for
yeah,
treasure hunting. You're all Flash fam,
right.
you know.
Totally agree.
And
Well, it's
cube
all about
buddy
the
is
adventure,
Flash
right?
fam. Pardon me, Hero?
It's all about the adventure, right? So,
Yeah, and the people you meet is part of that adventure, and
absolutely.
uh the friendships you cultivate, they're the real gold. Hell yeah, I love finding gold. Yeah, I love selling my gold. It gives me money. But the real gem and jewel of all that treasure, all of it, is the friends I've made and
I
the
wholeheartedly agree.
memories and experiences I've had with them. I've actually been on the river with Otis Ferris in Northern California, or in the heart of the Motherlode on the South Yuba River with Otis. And Heavy Meadow Detective has come to Flash Bash and got to hang out with Heavy Meadow, and I will again next weekend.
That's badass.
Um,
So,
That's
how many flash bashes have you had?
This is the third actual Flash Bash. The first one, Flash Bash, came up in the titles, but I was collaborating with another channel. They also have a Facebook group, East Coast Prospecting,
wow.
and and I just said after that, nothing bad about it, but I said next time it's all gonna be us. Flash, flash, flash in your pan. No
Right.
other channels, no collaboration on that type of activity.
Right.
And from there on out, first one was the Gathering of Golden Friends. Then the next year after that was Flash Bash. Then Flash
Wow.
Bash 2021, Flash Bash 2022. And I all but this one is the same place it started at, but each other location has been a different location in the state. Jim reminds me I want to talk to you again about next year because, see, Flash Bash hasn't even got here yet, and I'm thinking about next year.
Yeah, yep. No, that's how I was last year. I was telling Arrow and all the rest of the guys, I'm like, we got a lot of different group digs to do. We got a lot of different plans to make, a lot of different people to go and see. And then, this season came around and we've already scheduled out quite a bit of stuff. And it's basically boiling down to, getting itineraries set and things like that. But
time, those damn day jobs.
Well,
I need more time.
The nice thing is being able to branch out through the Prospecting Buddy family. Like how you branch out with the Flash fam, you're able to branch out to different individuals and different places. And we started looking at, okay, well, how can we get a Prospecting Buddy group dig in Canada? How can we get a prospecting group dig back east? How can we do these things to where even if we can't make it, we can make damn sure that it's going to be a damn good group dig, good gold, and a memory that each and every individual goes is going to be able to take.
From what I'm finding out, property location is the hardest thing. Well, I thought about doing it in South Carolina, Washington, California. I think the easiest would be for me is to talk to Jim at Cottonwood Trails if I was going to do it out of state, or talk to the people that own another place at Gatesville General Store because they might have the room for it and might be able to work a deal where they get what they need and I get a little slice of the pie too.
Right. So I can't say too much live on the broadcast, but what we did is we kind of, and as you know, we can't say a whole heck of a lot because then everybody's going to do it, right? But we kind of thought outside the box a little bit and decided to dig into specific things where we can be allowed to have a group dig and this, that, and the other, and be able to not grab, but dig on specific pieces of land throughout the states in which everybody still wins in the situation. And it's been working out absolutely phenomenal for us. I mean,
that's cool. I know it would be easier if I was out west though, because I would have 100 times more public land to work with.
Yeah, I totally. That's the thing we've been running into with back east is, the private land and stuff like that. But the nice thing is by us creating more representatives for the PB family in each state back east, that allows us to gather better communication with people who do have private land, that do have a creek or have gold on their property. And by slowly building those representatives up, we're allowing ourselves to allow more of the PB family to actually be able to go and dig. And it's a pain in the ass, but slowly but surely, we've been making it happen.
That's one good thing about this place. I know prospectingbuddy.org. They have a really great place over there in their members section where they have members from state to state to state where they could log in and hook up and meet other people like-minded in their areas.
No, I appreciate that, Ed. Yeah. That's what's crazy is when we first started, we had prospectingbuddy.com, and it was kind of a basic, hey, if you're part of the family, grab yourself a t-shirt, this, that, and the other. And then we got to thinking and we were like, well, our whole mission is to connect everybody. And so we were like, well, how do we do this? And so now, like I said earlier, I'm putting more shit on my plate to try to figure out. And so, we're bouncing ideas off each other. We're like, well, why don't we come out with a state-by-state contact list where you could sign up on the website and see in that state and each state the other people that are in that state. And then you could reach out to them directly and say, hey, you want to go digging? And what's crazy is California, we've already had I think it was 5 or 6 or 7 different interactions where people actually met up with each other through Prospecting Buddy and now are good friends and dig with each other. That right there to me is so freaking wholesome, because it's like that's what we want to do, is connect people in the prospecting and freaking mining community. So when I see that, it just freaking warms me up, man. It makes me so happy because you're getting more people out there. And, as it is with today's day and age, it's hard to find someone that you actually trust and want to go out and dig with. You know what I mean? It's extremely hard. So,
well, gold does some weird shit to people. I look at it this way. There's 2 things that are going to happen, and it usually happens in close to extremes. It isn't just mediocre. Gold once people really see the gold,
yeah,
it either brings out the worst in them or the very best.
Yep, I agree.
And you don't want to end up being with someone on the river who's all packed up and getting all Sierra Madre on you.
No, I agree. And that's the funny thing is, like, with Prospecting Buddy, and I'm sure you've ran across this too, Ed, is you get those individuals every once in a great blue moon where they're all for it, yada yada yada, and then you show them this or show them that, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them. But then come to find out they've been out there, they've been doing their thing, yada yada yada. It's kind of like, okay, so I know where your true values lie. And for me, I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm like, you know what? It's just not worth my time to sit here and fight the individual. Now, mind you, if I was in like the mother lode or something like that, and I had really, good gold coming out, I'm going to fight until one of us is dead. But when it comes to, just ground that we've tested, this, that, and the other, and a situation comes up like that, it's like, is it worth my time? No. It's really not worth my time, because I can turn this thing into a totally different situation, or I can just work off of the knowledge I have and find a spot that's even better than that, and go from there and drop that person out of my life. Ain't got to deal with it no more. I mean, all of us have so much shit going on in our lives, no matter how young or old you are. And if it's, something so simplistic, why waste your time? Why waste your effort? Why waste anything else? And especially with gas prices, why would you waste gas? You know what I mean? It's just not worth it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I've ran across so many different individuals where I'm like, okay, I know where your mindset's at. Goodbye. Click.
Yeah, it's a good thing the majority of them are honest, good people, hard, love the outdoors type people.
Absolutely.
But, those types, that are like, oh, can I go prospecting with you, and can you show me what to do? And you're like, okay, I'll let you come to my permission, but do not come here by yourself. This is my permission.
Right.
You have to be with me. And then you show them what to do, and And they're just watching and looky-looing and not really doing much, and you're
Yeah.
doing all the work, and then they expect all the gold or 50-50, or they come back to the property owner behind your back and
Right.
try to steal your permission. And
Well, I've came across a few different incidents. One big incident that I can't get too public with, but it dealt with that very thing. People separated from the whole situation. You had the actual claim owner paid good amount for it. You had the quote unquote freeloader, and some words were said and things happened, and we actually had to get Shannon involved, and we got things situated for the most part, and at the end of the day, things worked out really well for the claim owner. But you see that from time to time. I don't think you see it as much, especially like with social media and stuff like that. It when something like that happens, it gets
that's rare.
so quickly, and people are able to jump on it. Like a snare of the drum.
I haven't had hardly any issues like that. And even when I had my claims and someone would ask, I'd let them work my claims. Yeah, you can pan,
Right.
dredge, sure. Do me a favor, dredge down here. Tell me what you find and where you find it. You keep the gold, you work for it. But I want to be able to pull a James and put on my plot map what you found here, what you found there.
Right.
I want to know grains.
Yeah, totally.
Wayne and Ray Russo, I want to know grain amounts and where you found it.
Yeah.
So I could put it down on my map of the claim, and that way I could figure out where the pay streaks are and stuff. But now back here,
I've been pretty lucky here. I've been pretty lucky here in Washington. I've been here 6 years, probably prospecting seriously, like avidly, for 5 years.
Okay.
And I didn't know anybody. I just reached out on a Facebook group here and met up with Jason Everett Wiggins, and he introduced me to Jordan Percoon. And
shout out to Everett Wiggins. Shout out to you, brother, man.
And then I ended up hooking up with this guy, Kelly Gaines, who is one of my best friends absolutely up here. And then it just expanded. So now I've got a whole group that I go up. And
what about me, bro? You just hanging? What the hell?
What about
Wow. Okay, I see how it is. Okay.
This is the closest we've ever been, bro. This is the closest. Yeah. I'm not in the beard club yet.
I see how it is.
I fell in love with the North Cascades. I love it up there. Absolutely. Absolutely love it.
Beautiful God's country.
I mean, yeah, it is. And I mean, like I said, last year I spent a little more time wandering with my friends looking for gold, and got to see some absolutely.
Rick Stash said that, by the way. You got some making up to do, buddy. You got some making up.
Well, oh, Rick, come on. You know, buddy. Here.
Hey, Joe Brickner.
Jeff, Casey, Travis, there's a bunch of guys that I hang out with, and
bunch of amazing individuals over there, man.
Yeah, going out with a couple of them to Blew It Past this weekend. So
no, that's absolutely bad. No, that's the cool
Washingtonians.
Oh, there's a ton in here. There's a ton in here. That's the awesome thing about this road trip that I'm super excited about, Ed, is this road trip we're going to be meeting up with a lot of different individuals and shaking hands and putting a name to a face and, grabbing some good food and bullshitting. And that's what it boils down to. Like, I know for a fact, every single one of us that's planned this road trip, that's really taken the time. I mean, personally, it's a highlight of my life. This 9-day road trip, being able to travel with all of you guys and meet up with all of these awesome people in the PB family. It's just
It's gonna be epic, Jaron. Are you
super
going,
epic.
Nero?
Oh, absolutely. You know,
It's gonna
I
be
mean,
epic.
to a T, there's a little bit of mining in my family history, and when I go over to my uncle's house, there weren't mining pictures per se, but it was skiing pictures of him and all his buddies, and my uncle missing a tooth and a big black eye on the mountain, and you know, and I don't know, 20 years ago, I was just thinking, man, when I'm his age, I want those pictures on my wall.
ditto.
And this trip is like, you know, I've got a number of pictures already, but this trip's going to be a big marker. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait.
And that's what I'm excited about is, you know, when we made that initial post, Ed, we made a post and we said, hey, we're going to be going through, you know, Oregon, this place, that place, so on and so forth. And just tons of people reached out and they're like, hey, when you're by this area, give me a call. Let's meet up. And so we're going to try to meet up with as many people as we can. I mean, at the end of the day, this 9-day road trip also includes us picking up a lot of different claims for the PB family. But, you know, in doing so, you know, 9 days, we have a decent amount, of time to be able to freaking reach out to all the different people. You know, Casey Lawson, such a badass dude. I mean, Creighton
That's the fabricator kid.
yeah, and he
I
The
like
fabricator kid. He is a kid. He is a kid out there in the shop.
But no, I mean, all the stuff that Casey brings to the community is phenomenal.
Nothing personal, Casey. I like your fab work, and you're a Dream Mat user. But I am 60, so a lot of you.
He's like, I got 8 charges. So that's all that matters. I got 8 charges.
That must make me a teenager. I don't know.
Well, let's not get into age because
Right.
I
didn't mean nothing by kid. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but you're gonna have an epic time, you two, because I know you were talking to me in pre-show about a time, like what times stand out for me in my time as a prospector and stuff.
Yeah.
I told you about one time, but on this note with your trip, I'm gonna go to this one. A couple of years ago, Toledo Jazz, Dano, and I went to the Motherlode of California. We stayed at YouTuber's house. He goes by Top Cat. And then he went to Patriot Prospecting and back to Top Cat. He was an awesome host, awesome guide of the Motherlode region. And I met some fabulous people. And these YouTubers, California Motherlode, oh, what's Jerry's channel name? Sorry, Jerry. But there were several channels that got together and had a East meets West outing for a day outing on the South Yuba. That's where I met Otis Ferris, Damien from West Coast Prospectors, met Gino from Reno, and several others. It was a great time. We had barbecue ribs on the river, all found gold, all had a good time. And that was the first day after we got there. And every day after that, it was a new adventure, meeting new people. But the epic day of that whole trip, you guys know the world famous sensei of prospecting, Two Toes, don't you?
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, we had the privilege of going down on the creek to actually Gary's and Jeff's one of their claims. And between the 6 of us, we'll call them Two Toes and the Grave Diggers. There's some pretty good videos on the subject. My monitor keeps falling out of my ear. But between the 6 of us, we pulled out 1.5 ounces out of that valley that day, out of that river.
Jeez.
Sorry, everybody. No matter what, you could drag me by 1,000 horses. You'll never know where that spot was. Sorry, it's a spot I can't share.
1 ounce in a day, and you're talking
1.25 ounces between 6 of us.
Holy moly.
Yeah, but that was a fabulous day. Gary, great host on his claim, and Smith's Gold, Two Toes and Smith's Gold, great guys. One day I am gonna mine with them again. I'm stoked about Otis Ferris. I met him the first day we were on the river on that trip. We talk on the phone. We talk on Skype. He's coming to Flash Bash all the way here. I know next time if I'm not at home in Washington for like something to do with family where I could get
Right.
out and head towards the greater Seattle area or stuff,
Right.
I know I'll be on the river back home with Otis again and
That's
several others.
You make your way over here. I'd love to personally host you at my place, Ed.
Hell yeah. If I go to Washington, I'll do my best to get to the dry side.
I'll drive over to your ass wherever you are on Western Washington.
That's where, hey, Otis, we might just have to have a Flash Bash in Washington.
That would be absolutely phenomenal. We'll bring all the Prospecting Buddy family over, and we'll make something happen. Very memorable dig, that's for dang sure. I think too many people are going to want to join. We got so many people over here in Washington and Idaho. That'd be a hell of a freaking event, wouldn't it? I tell you what. That'd be pretty crazy. Back to the topic, though. It looks like we're about hour and a half in. Before we get to the second half with all the rest of the really, really good questions, like the super goodies that I got to get from Ed, that I got to pull from Ed, and then the announcements, let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break. That way everybody could use the bathroom real quick. Let's jump back in and let's go diving deep. Digging deeper, diving deep. Let's get her done.
Sounds good.
All right. So with that being said, everybody, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Stay tuned. See you guys in 5. Welcome back to the second half of the podcast with special guest Ed Marvin from Flash in Your Pan. Hope everybody was able to grab a beverage, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. That way you can enjoy the second half of this podcast. First and foremost, I got some comments that I definitely have to pop up on the screen here. Plus, I also put a comment in there. I said I'd love to give shout outs to everybody that's in the building this evening for the Digging Deeper podcast. If you have a YouTube page, group, product, depending on what it is, I'd definitely love to give you guys shout outs during the end of the podcast. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and pop up some comments here. I'd love to show some love to some of the folks in here. Heavy Meadow Detective, he says, I always support Ed Marvin. That's the hell I'm talking about right there.
Heavy Meadow, Colin Drake guy. Can't wait to see him next weekend at Flash Bash.
Most definitely. Most definitely. We also have Ed's personal website that he has created for anybody to be able to jump on. I'm going to put it at the very bottom here so that way you guys can save it, get on there, check it out, see what he's got going on. It's www.flashinyourpan.com. Pretty straightforward. Jump on over there, show him some love. And then we also have a few comments here that I'd love to bring up here. Mr. Ed here. Let's see here. So we got Mr. Rick Stash. He says, Ed, you worked a lot of an area I work. What was the biggest piece of gold you got there, and what was your biggest pan? Please don't say the spot. Kind of double-edged sword there, Rick. I mean, I don't know if he could give you a perfectly clear, definitive answer on that, but I'm sure he could elaborate.
I could tell you the spot of one place, which was my claims, which is claimed up now by the guys who had the claims below me at the time. And that's up on a well-known spot in Skagit Valley. You probably know where I'm talking about, Rick. But my favorite place to dredge and work or just pan or run a high banker was pretty much over the hill behind me, which I lived at the base of Mount Josephine in Hamilton, Pumpkin Centers, Rick. And I love the South Fork Nooksack. Love it. It's good luck getting into where I used to get into, though, because now you either have to walk in, bike in, or horseback ride in.
About how far is that?
Oh, it's quite a long ways. You have to go up either from the Saxon area at the fish hatchery and hike a hell of a long ways in.
Rick said, "Yep, ... that spot."
But on the South Fork Nooksack, it's a long river and very hard to get to now with the new owners. When I worked it, it was still owned by Crown Pacific, and then it was Crown Pacific when I worked it. Before that was Scott Paper. I got a permit every month. They gave me combinations to any gates I needed. The whole works. I could prospect all over their property. That's now awesome. It's no vehicles back there unless you own property back there. They're very tight gate from what I understand now. But I actually found a very nice platinum nugget on the upper reaches of the South Fork Nooksack that was shaped like a heart, was about as big as my fingernail.
Jeez.
But that's Washington State. That isn't the biggest gold I've ever found.
Right. So we got a few more comments here.
No Tellum Creek, Washington.
Oh, I know where that's at.
You know what's funny as hell too? I gotta elaborate on that. Back in my heavy drinking days, I don't know where I was at. I don't remember what state, or we had went camping or something. It was such a vague memory, but I remember we got talking about gold prospecting, and we got talking to this person, and I'm like, yeah, so where at? You know, kind of the gist of do you find the gold at, and this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, just up No Fucks Mountain. You go about 1,000, and I'm like, really listening, like, you know. The next day, my buddy's like, hey man, you know, she was just pulling your arm, right? Because it was this older lady. She was just pulling your arm, right? And I was like, I was so intrigued. I really thought that she was giving me directions.
Well, you go up yonder about 18 miles till you get to a big Douglas fir. You make a right there, go up past 3 clear cuts. And
there's this really big stone, a really big rock. You'll know when you see it.
Big rock. Yeah, you can't miss it. Big rock.
Big granite rock. Yeah, for sure. No, totally. We got a few more comments. Give some love out here. Let's see here. He says, hi from New Zealand, Mr. Jeff King.
What's up, Jeff?
Mr.
Nice.
Jeff King from New Zealand. That is just wild, man. He is a PV family member for life. And
Our
the gold
Zealand Kiwi brothers.
Yeah,
Man.
he gets some good gold too, man.
Yeah, they're allowed to dredge too. I'd love to dredge on the South Island.
Hey, Jeff, when I ever get to New Zealand, I'll have to give you a call and come digging with you, brother. I don't know when that'll be, what year, what century, but I'm sure one of these days I'll get up there.
One day. One day I'm gonna hit the river with Derek, you know, one more pan.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah,
One
that'd be
day.
fun.
Yeah, big shout out to him as well, Mr. One More Pan on YouTube. Like I said, I want to give a lot of shout outs at the end of the video, but we had him on the podcast, and it was just such a phenomenal podcast. I mean, such a wholesome dude, really wholesome guy, down to earth, just a really cool individual. So shout out to you, brother, man. We have a comment here from Mr. Ed Marvin himself. It says, Ed, have you been to Canada?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've never prospected in Canada. Most time my Canada was skiing. When I lived on Fildago Island in Puget Sound, northern Puget Sound, though, I take the ferry over to Sydney quite a bit and party a lot in Vancouver. In Victoria, on beautiful Vancouver Island. But
no, that's absolutely badass. We got a few more comments here. We're gonna hold them till the end. Christy, I will give you a absolutely massive shout out toward the end of the podcast, but I wanted to kind of dive a little deeper into Mr. Ed Marvin's life. He goes,
a lot of skeletons in the closet in this one.
So Ed, I really wanted to dig into equipment usage, what you've kind of enjoyed using, what you haven't enjoyed using. I mean, like we always say on the podcast, it's always a personal preference. You know, I have some really, really good friends that use tomato, and I have really good friends that use tomato. You know what I mean? So personally, for your experience, as far as what you've gotten to use and what you haven't gotten to use, what would you say, I guess, in your perspective, would be something that you would take to a creek as far as matting and as far as a high banker or dredge goes? You know, if you want to touch on any of those topics.
Of course, here I'm Mr. Contingency. I'll have my backpack dredge in my truck. I'll have my backpack high banker in the truck. Right now, I run a Keen 2-inch dredge. I got rid of my Franken dredge. It was the Keen. Used to be a 3 sluice 4-inch that had some damage to the wing sluices, so those came off, and the
Right.
floats were thrashed. So I used water softener tanks for that. It was a beast. And a lot of times I dredge by myself. And if I was just local, I could chain it up to my friends' trees down on the river or out on the bank, and no biggie. But after a while, dragging a 4-inch by myself, I got
It's
rid of
cool.
that. I have a Teen 2-inch with Dream Mat dredge mat in it. Um, I love dredging. I love being underwater dredging with hookah. I love lawn arming. I love dredging.
Right.
There's a time for high banking. Right now, my high banker's really portable. I could use the same pump from my Keen 2-inch that I can with my Keen Mini Max.
Awesome.
And yes, I've turbocharged it with Dream Mat.
Right.
Sorry, Pat King, but yeah, I got rid of your miracle mat and put a Dream Mat. Um,
What
in the shop, I use a
what
blue bowl.
what specific mat works really well with that as far as where you're at back east?
Uh, I I have a mixture of of wait. I have micro mat on the top where the deep V was, and I have I believe I have
Beach
Cape
sand?
D, or I have mini um, on the lower part of my Keen. I have a actual dredge mat on my dredge,
Hmm.
and those
But
work good.
as far as high banker, did you end up getting the triple combination where it has the micro, the mini, and then the what would that be? Would that
Cape
be
B,
Cape?
Micro,
Cape
Cape B
D,
Mini.
Right, right.
right.
So that's the mat that you've had really good luck with. Has worked really well for you.
I like it, but I switch it up. I have several mats.
Right,
Actually, Toledo Jess and I have a really good rapport with David over at Dream Mat. We're part of the testers group. He revealed the new Adventure Sluice on my show, and
right.
actually, without me, you would not see. Actually,
He goes, "Let me grab it."
we'll have a giveaway tonight.
He's melting.
Behind my Wizard of Oz wall. Uh, this is a banjo pan mat, which I am the actual first person to use it and make it.
No, those are absolutely
With
awesome.
the micro mat of Dream Mat's micro mat.
Right,
I don't use the banjo pan in the river ever. I
right,
have in the past, but when I was a beta tester for Mike Pun, we talked about this in pre-show.
right,
When I was a beta tester for Mike Pun and Red Wilcox for the banjo pan,
right.
by the time I got my pan, it was like dead winter. It was like 41 below zero with chill factor for like 2 weeks at that time.
Right.
And I tried the old, if you watch any of their videos on how to use a banjo band, they have like opening the drawer, closing the drawer, and
Right,
like
right,
that. And I'm like, no way in hell am I going to do this in my shop
right,
in the wintertime. It's cold enough out here already. So I
right,
set it up as a recirculating system.
right,
And that's the only way that I use it now, but now it's underneath my blue bowl.
right, right, right.
Um, and just changed it up. But I was the first to use that.
The
and I
micro.
still offer them on my website.
No, they're absolutely phenomenal product. What's actually funny is, I started off with Keen products as far as matting goes, and then I actually tried out a decent amount of Gold Hog, Talon, this, that, and the other. And
I've done the Gold Hog too.
yeah, and they both work really, really good. It depends on the application. Like I said, you see so many people fighting and arguing and this, that, and the other. It's like, first and foremost, what's the point of it? You're wasting your breath. You're wasting the other guy's breath. Secondly, you guys are probably halfway across the state. So, like, what's the point of it, right? And then thirdly, this guy's using this or running this dirt, and that guy's running that kind of dirt.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's like whatever works for you and works really, really well, then by all means.
I used to be a die-hard. Like when I first started, before I found Dream Mat, I ran my medium in my 4-inch dredge was EPDM rubber lined the bottom of my sluice.
Right.
Because if the gold made it past my miner's moss,
Right.
it wouldn't slide underneath it and out, theoretically. So I had EPDM for it to stick on that. Then non-backed miner's moss with expanded metal.
Right.
I got rid of my Hungarians and stuff and went with strictly expanded.
Right.
It seemed to work best for the area I was in.
For the specific application of material.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to explain within the PB family. That, like, I can't explain that enough. Is like, there's so many different products out there, and for the first time prospector that gets out the full blown greenhorn, right? They're just flooded.
Just a pan, only a pan's all you need.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to say is, like, as all the greenhorns and the newcomers and stuff like that, you hear of a lot of different people saying, "Oh, don't go with this, don't go with that, don't do this, don't do that." But instead, they just need some basic common sense knowledge. Hey, if you're first starting out, grab yourself a pan, grab yourself a good quality pan, not one of those cheap China ones that you got to use a freaking pillow pad on for 2 hours until it actually, you know what I mean? Go buy yourself
super sluice, a Pioneer pan.
Mine Lab comes out with they have a really good 10-inch.
I like the Mine Lab pan.
It's a deep riffle. It's deep riffle. It's blue. It's 10-inch. Yeah. It's really good pan, and it's very inexpensive. So go and grab yourself a really good pan. Don't grab one of those cheap China ones you buy on Amazon, all that other good stuff.
Right.
And start with that. Work your way into the material. See how the material works. See how the black sands work. The gold, this, that, the other. And then once you get to that point where you're like, okay, well, this is high bankable, this is dredgeable, so on and so forth, then start working into that.
Or if you even like it.
Or if you even like panning, correct.
Start at the bare basics. And panning's all. One thing with our lifestyle, it starts with the pan and ends with the pan. So you need to pan.
Yeah.
And it's good to get good at it.
Yeah.
But that's where you want to. Yeah. And that's where you want to start if you're greenhorn. I mean, like,
just start out.
You just saw. Devil's Canyon reruns or something, and you want to do something on a small scale.
Yeah.
I've had guys come into Paystreet and say, I want a 5-inch Keen dredge, blah, 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 blah. How long have you been prospecting? Oh, we just started, but I know I'm going to get rich.
Yep.
Whoa. Do you own a pan? Yeah, I own a pan. I found color here. See. Okay, slow down. Do you have a river sluice? No.
How many
cups? I'm going to get a dredge. Ooh. I think you buy that dredge back to you in a year when you realize how hard of work it is and what little gold you're getting.
I'll buy that dredge off of you in 2 years for a quarter of the price, brother.
Right. I'll sell it to you, but I have a feeling I might be buying it back from you. Why don't you get this river sluice?
Yep.
I have a Keen, I have a Royal, I have a easy sluice, but
Something super
TD.
simple. I mean, the A52 in itself, that's a phenomenal sluice. And what's actually really cool is I don't remember, I think it's SE. I know some of their products are garbage, but they do come out with a really cool foldable sluice. You throw a couple of drill holes in it and you throw some bolts in it. And for a very inexpensive price, you have yourself a river sluice. No, it's not the best. It's a pain in the ass to set up. But if you're not looking at spending a whole hell of a lot of money, you just want to get out there and run some material. As he comes out with a super decent foldable sluice that you got to make a few modifications on. And like we were talking about earlier, prospectors and miners, they're super creative, So with something like that, it takes 2 seconds. Grab yourself a drill bit. I'm sure everybody got a drill in their garage. At least I hope so.
No miner that doesn't tweak their stuff, regardless what it is, to suit them anyway. So, yeah, but even if I suggest joining a club, if you're a greenhorn,
Right.
join a club. One, it gives you some kind of instruction if needed. Right. Two, it gives you property to work.
Legal property to work.
Legal property to work. Washington has tons of great clubs, Bedrock Prospectors, Washington State Prospectors Mining Association, the one you joined out of Vancouver,
Napa.
Portland area, yeah, and others, then GPAA chapters, and the list goes on. But
yeah, there's a lot of groups there.
One thing I do want to mention as far as GPAA and LDMA goes, it's kind of been a back and forth for me with them. At one point in time, GPAA was where it was at for greenhorns and newcomers, because you could find some decent ground. As the times progress, it's kind of a different ball game, and you can see that. You could see that with a lot of people talking in Don's group and other groups. You see a lot of different things going on, and I think the tide has kind of shifted as far as GPA and LDMA goes. I think it's shifted. Oh, she's hungry.
She must be.
She's hungry.
She's at me about something.
Yeah, give me my food. But
be quiet.
You can kind of see the tide shifting a little bit, and I'm not talking negative about GPA or LDMA. They're still awesome.
They still have their place, and
they're still doing really good as far as what they got going on.
And if you have some claims that's been in the club for decades that been worked, but be honest, there's still some that have potential. Gold is always better the harder it is to get to, and a lot of with those clubs, they're older people, retired, they're snowbirds, and they go to an area and they don't really prospect. They drag their dredge or high bank down and they just set up.
Yeah.
So, and then there's some property or claims that have been hit hard.
Yeah.
Some leases. I know when I first moved out here, you Ohio guys and Indiana guys calling lease land claims used to bug the bejeebers out of me. They're not claims, they're leases, but that's a whole different thing there.
Yeah, like I said, it varies. Do your research. That's all I can say. I mean, in today's day and age, there is so much research that you can do and find a club that has good claims to be able to get on. You can go to the board meetings, get your feelers wet, so to speak, and really get in to the prospecting and mining world. What I don't suggest is you just go buy a crap ton of equipment, waste a ton of money, try to go out to some creek you think has gold. It doesn't come up with gold, and then you're on Facebook Marketplace selling your equipment.
I agree wholeheartedly and know what you're after too. But once you see real gold in the wild,
Yeah.
it's hard to not recognize, but it does happen. A
Well,
good friend of mine found mica,
Oh, jeez.
tons of it, and thought he was finding gold until he actually really found gold
Yep.
and stuff. And then he felt like a fool.
Yep.
Where were you when you found your first flake?
Where was I?
Yeah, where would you find your first piece of gold?
Skagit Valley, Washington.
Washington. I was going to wear my Washington hat this evening, but I got to represent for PB. We haven't been on the Digging Deeper podcast for quite a while. I wanted to come out with a bang with one of my good buddies, Ed. I do have a question for you, Ed, though.
Sure.
So I believe it's from Rick Stash. He says, what does Ed need to see for gold before he decides to high bank or sluice that spot?
That all depends. That all depends, Rick. Sometimes if I say I don't go as remote now as I used to, but if I'm packing it in, I'm damn gonna use it. So I do a series of test pans, and whichever pan had the most color is where I attack.
You know what's funny? I actually got to add to that real quick. My whole game plan for testing dirt, I always have a phenomenal game plan. Always. The problem is
it always goes
the problem is, as a prospector, for me personally, is my typical game plan is, okay, this is the piece of ground we have. I usually go about 3 to 5 foot northeast, southwest. If it's dry land versus creek or bench or anything like that. And I say 3 to 5 feet, right, as far as width goes, and we'll just test, poke holes. But I'll get out there, and I haven't been out there for a while, and we'll poke a hole and we'll find some decent color. That's where we're digging all weekend, every single time, and it has proved fruitful, and it has dried up, but the biggest game plan that I could advise anybody personally is test. Try not to be like me and every single other prospector and miner and test as many holes as you can and really get the lay of the land. And, of course, once you've gotten up to that point, you'll be in a good area if you find good enough gold where you can start deciding to want to purchase a high banker, a dredge, and all that good stuff. And then, of course, we can go on and on about rules and regulations and stuff like that, but that'll be for that'll definitely be
another 2 hours right there.
Oh yeah. yeah, that's for sure. But Ed, so I got some more personal questions that I did want to ask you. They're kind of a little bit more juicy. So as far as your guys' Tuesday night hangouts, have you had any guests, any like more of the hits, runs, errors kind of deal? As far as the episodes, I know you've been running strong every Tuesday. I really did want to ask though, have you had any kind of snares or problematic people that you've had on your podcast that you've had to kind of deal with a day later or during the podcast?
Well,
just throw a name out there.
There's
don't do that.
Some experiences, like we used to always tell someone, mute your mic until we bring you in, right? But they never do. And it was with a couple that Soul Pay Dirt had said they worked the Saskatchewan River in Alberta, Canada.
Yeah.
And at one time he sold pay dirt, and I'm like, okay, I'm going live in 5, 4, 3. Go. I'm like, they're not muting, damn it. And next thing you hear the dog going, "Arr, arr, arr," and the lady goes, "You bite me, you fucking dog! I'm gonna kill you." But for the most part, all my guests have been really cool. No real big hassles, and
Yeah.
um, I've I've been really lucky. It's not to put anybody down, but I'm looking for my friend who
Uh-oh. Here
owns
we go.
Robinson Prospecting
Here we go.
a gear. Great guy, good friend. Eric's a great guy, but I had Eric on the show, and anyone who does live broadcasting, dead air is bad air.
The worst of the worst. Oh, yeah.
So you want someone who's be able to talk or think somewhat fast. I know most of the time I don't think too fast. I've abused my body and mind a lot in my
Enough.
adolescence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you gotta keep the thing going. You gotta keep talking. No dead air. Try.
Right.
And love Eric, great guy, great member of the family. But I had him on the show, and on my show when you guys were on, I
Oh,
try
yeah.
to make it about whoever my guest is,
Right.
their business, their
Right.
product,
What they
their
have going on.
channel, their
Right.
group.
Right.
It's your time to sell yourself.
Yeah, your time to shine.
Sell yourself, get more traffic, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And we'd ask questions. Not always can we think of, okay, how can we get a story out of this question? But
Right.
it'd be like a one word answer.
Right.
Lots of dead air, a lot of thinking on what to say, but maybe they're uncomfortable.
Right.
Because I know for my first 4 years, I'd get butterflies before every show.
Right.
It didn't matter who I had on. I got butterflies.
Sounds like
I'd be a nervous wreck. And then once we started going live and I'm with the people and my guests and my hosts,
get the ball rolling. Yeah. We've had a couple of people on the show, and we've had a couple of people on the show, and my golly, I mean, you try to get that ball rolling, and there's just a concrete wall every time you roll the ball, and then concrete wall, roll the ball, concrete, and you're trying your little heart out to do everything you can to really make it all about that person, really make it a really fun podcast. But yeah, my golly, man, I mean, the dog situation, we had someone come in. What the hell are you doing? I'm on the podcast right now with Prospecting Buddy. And I'm like, oh, here we go. We've had a couple of those where or even like the internet would cut out and I'd be talking and you'd get and we're like, anyways, guys, we're waiting for so-and-so to kind of.
Oh, that's like when I used to run the show. It's this laptop right here. It's a good laptop, has a good graphic card.
Yeah.
But I was still doing too much with it. Chroma key takes a lot of RAM.
Oh, yeah.
The more you want to do to it,
slower it works.
Takes a lot more resources, right?
Yeah.
And it was all
jumbled. I learned my lesson with that when my first like 5 episodes I was running on Wi-Fi, and I'm just bumping my gums, just chewing the hell out of some fat, right? And of course, my first episodes I looked away from the screen. I was always talking to a wall or a ceiling or whatever the hell I was doing. And I look back and it says lost connectivity. The screens are all black, and I'm like, here I am bumping my gums for probably about 10 minutes, thinking I was getting some good points out. And I had a black screen that I was talking to the whole entire time. So yeah, it's pretty wild doing the whole podcasting thing. My next question would be for you though, Ed. As far as flash in your pan with Toledo and all the other great people you have is once you guys started to get established, was it kind of still kind of like a hard thing to get established each and every episode, or was it something? I love you, sweetheart. Mwah. Was it my daughter there, Ella, just turned 5 in May? But was it something that it was extremely difficult to have to get situated until a year down from the road, or was it something that you guys all agreed on and you guys started making it happen?
Well, I started off the show pretty much by myself, and then I asked Jesse to join me as a co-host, and then we brought in Dano. I'd have to look back through the seasons because there's quality issues. There's running on an inferior machine, so there's streaming issues.
Right.
The best investment I made was this streaming tower,
Right.
and I have 3 monitors.
Right.
But getting guests was never a big issue. I do book out a ways though.
Right. Well,
I book out like 3 months.
Right. That's one of those things that I've always, we've always tried to do, and then it gets down to the fact of the matter, and we're like, okay, what do we got going on for Thursday? Yada yada yada, and then we get to a point where we're like, okay, well, backup plan, and then we kind of figure out.
You always have to have a contingency.
Yeah, and it works out. Yeah.
Well, like this last Tuesday, Brewers Prospecting was not my intended guest. My intended guest was Finding Alabama with Jeremy.
Right.
And he was really sick and he canceled on me like last minute.
Right.
So I messaged a few people, I even called Jim McIntyre. Hey, Jim, talking to his voicemail, want to come on? I'm in a pinch.
Yeah.
You could shout out Cottonwood Trails and everything going on.
Right.
Unfortunately, he didn't get the message till like the following day. But Jeff from Brewers Prospecting is like, yeah, Ed, cool. Ended up being a great show. Went into overtime.
That's awesome. You actually got somebody here, one of your good buddies, that's going to give you some flack here. We'll put it up on the screen here. He says, waiting. Look, Ed.
Anytime, artists. Next weekend, the last weekend of every month, the last Tuesday of every month is Open Line Tuesday. And that's probably the hardest right there, Jared, is Open Line Tuesday.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, we're open line. Why
happening?
is no one calling in?
Yeah.
I put the link out there. Come on, it's time for you to shine. Time for you to be our victim. So,
that's the one thing we want to do, Ed, is we were talking, and that was kind of one of the announcements, is we want to bring to the Prospecting Buddy family, Flash in Your Pan family, all the people watching. What we want to do is we want to bring in a live phone call chat. So if you're on, you want to talk a little bit. I'm kind of worried because it's live, you when you make that leap, you don't know what's going to be coming through that phone call.
It can be pretty scary sometimes, especially if it's video. But good thing about StreamYard, unlike what I use, as you know, I use Zoom. And at least StreamYard, you could see the person backstage,
Right.
make sure they're not sitting there naked
With their
and
ass cheeks
waiting
hanging
to
out.
bounce out Willie.
Yeah.
And where on my waiting room, all I see is the name.
Oh, geez. So you don't know
So
what's
once I let them in,
the
it's like,
hounds have
am
been
I gonna
released.
have to boot them out real quick? And there's always that danger, but
Yeah.
hey, um,
That plays into what the podcast is all about. I want to get back into asking a few gold questions. I saw some questions earlier. So obviously we talked a little earlier with the ounce that you had gotten
the
with
two toes,
yeah. So
got two toes.
yeah, so playing into that question, what was your best cleanup year to date? Has that been your best cleanup year to date? He's going back into the memory file.
Best ever.
He's going way back
Best
there.
ever.
Best ever cleanup.
Ever.
Yeah.
The best ever was in like 1992. My youngest was just a kid. I mean, a wee little kid.
Little grasshopper.
I was in partners in Cedar Woolley with Daryl Grimley at Paystreak Enterprises. I was the field representative. I would go to club outings like GPAA, LDMA outings, and gold shows.
Right.
I went to an LDMA outing at Scott River Camp, and I was selling goods there. My parents came up from Southern California. I brought the whole family down. And I'm like, hey, Dad, it's kind of slow. Mind if I go to the gravel bar? I have yet to get a pan wet or anything. Sure, son, go ahead. See, here's my booth at the Last Dutchman's Scott
That's
River
so
Camp,
badass.
92.
So nostalgic.
And
One more fan said he was 5.
I'm selling my goods and services there. And I went down to the gravel bar, and there's this huge hole. But I'm selling stuff. So I went down there with the gold bug and MD20, a Falcon MD20, along with the gold pan and stuff. And I was just planning on poking around, not any sluicing, just a little panning.
Right.
But I see this big hole. Big hole tells me there's gold.
Right.
No one's gonna work that hard for specks in a clean out.
Right.
No one in hell.
Right.
So I hop in there. Yes, I jumped a day claim. It was not a claim day claim. There was no bucket there. There was no shovel there. There was nothing to make it a legit day claim. Yet, I jump in other people's holes. They're going to do all that work for me. More power to them. Thank you. So
1992, guys, mind you.
I'm swinging the fisher around, and I get a signal on the wall of this hole about a foot and a half down into the hole. The hole's up to like here on me, and it's big.
About a 5-6 foot hole.
Yeah, it was at, I'm 5'9", so it was like 4'8", 4 foot in there.
Yeah.
I could just barely look out of it.
Right.
I swipe it with my gold bug, and I get a target. Then I bring in the MD20. It sounds off as gold.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah. I get excited. I start digging into the side of this hole, and this is baby that I found.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, look at that thing. Holy shit.
Slightly
Well,
over
if-
5 ounces.
Whoever dug that hole, if they're watching the show, man, they're
They're going to be very pissed at me. Yeah, well,
I think Ed owes you
He
something.
missed that.
they should have stayed on digging. You know those cartoons? You go prospecting. Prospecting is a game of inches.
Right.
So, but I sold it that weekend. I had a stay-at-home wife, mother. Hardest job, most important job in the world is the mother.
Right.
So I had a mother to support and 3 kids.
My question is for all the people watching right now, look up gold spot price in 1992 and put that bad boy in the comments, please and thank you.
If I remember right, it wasn't even $300.
Jeez.
If I remember right. But then again, I'm an ex-beach bum. I've done a lot of abuse to this body and mind throughout my age. But I forget what I got for it, but it plenty paid for the trip.
Jeez.
I did get over spot.
Dude, that's a find of a lifetime right there.
That really is.
I have yet to find anything near it.
Yeah.
And that includes the 3 beautiful nuggets I found on the river with 2 toes, Smith's Gold Top Cat.
Right.
And those were, I think out of the day, I had the best weight of the day.
Right.
I took that hee-haw to a home. I could say from the day of 2 Toes and the Gold Diggers, I had the best. You'd have to watch the video and watch the weigh-in at the end. We do the weigh-in. But
I'm curious, it's probably melted down by now, but how would you feel if you ended up reuniting with that nug? If you ended up seeing that thing right next to you, same exact one that you pulled out of there, how would you feel about it, Ed?
Well, I'd be
just a flood of memories, man.
I don't know because I couldn't afford buying it back.
Yeah.
Not these day and age, man. My monitor's bugging the.
Oh man.
Well,
So
I can tell you what,
I'd be
headed up.
Tina Williams says in 1992 it was $333.
There you go.
An ounce.
Yeah, not much. I'm okay.
Well, I'm going up
Makes
to Blewett
sense.
Pass this weekend, and I can tell you the first thing I'm going to do is look in someone else's hole.
If someone leaves,
so if I don't hear
hole,
from you, Arrow, on Tuesday, I know you're probably not alive, right?
Either that or I found something.
Yeah.
I have no problem in hole jumping. If it isn't an active day claim and they didn't fill in their holes and stuff, I have no problem hopping in, doing some samples. And if it's showing color, hey, they did all that work for a reason most of the time.
That's what's funny is like the last couple of seasons for me has been the exact opposite. There's been no nice juicy holes to jump into. It's my fat ass digging 6 feet down and then having to leave and go back home and work and then not getting back to it for weeks and weeks on end. So
you come back and say, man, this hole's gotten bigger.
This is a little deeper and bigger than I last checked. I mean, what the hell? Exactly. So with that being said, let's go ahead and give some shout outs real quick. Let's go ahead and do announcements.
Thank you, team.
Shout outs. We have such a crazy amount of people in the building, and I really appreciate all of you guys. And Ed, I really appreciate the hell out of you. So first and foremost, shout out Christy Parham and the PB family. She is, I don't know if she has started or is just trying to get her feelers wet, but she has a YouTube channel on, or she has a channel on YouTube, excuse me, called Dirty Girl Pay Dirt. Go ahead and go over there, subscribe to her channel. She'll be coming out with some really good pay dirt. She's one of those that we trust in the PB family. To really make sure that you get what you spend.
I'm already subscribed to her, but I'm double checking Dirty Girl.
Yeah, Dirty Girl Peter. That is Christy Parham. So Christy Parham in the PB family. She just recently we've talked quite a bit about her coming out with her pay dirt. She is one of those that I trust, and I will.
No, I am not subscribed to her, but I am now.
Perfect. So make sure you jump over there, show her some love. Let's see. We're going to go through a little list here. Evergreen Prospectors. If you haven't heard of them, jump over there.
Oh, yeah, Evergreen.
What's up, guys?
Heavy Metal Detective. I've been reading some of his comments, and I've been rolling over here. Make sure that you subscribe to his channel. Awesome guy. I actually got to know him through Ed and Flash in Your Pan fam. So show him some love.
Colin's a great guy.
Yeah. One More Pan. Badass guy. If you haven't got to meet him, you don't know really nothing about him. We have a podcast episode with him on the Prospecting Buddy YouTube channel.
Also, a Tuesday night Hangout Live where Derek was our gracious guest.
Badass guy. And then Otis, I almost messed up. Otis Ferris See? Otis Ferris Prospecting on YouTube. Go over there, show him some
messed up.
I know I did. I'm going to get kicked in the teeth for that, I'm sure. I don't doubt it. Go ahead and go show him some love. Get on YouTube.
Show Otis Ferris some love.
Go over on YouTube, search Otis Ferris Prospecting. Go show him some love. Let's see. We got. Let's see. I got too many Facebook comments on here. It's hard.
Feel too bad, Jaron. Forever, I called him Otis all the time.
No, that's awesome. Hey, it happens. I don't know how many people I mispronounce their name, and then after the podcast, they message me and they're like, "Hey, by the way," I'm like, "Oh, so a 2-hour podcast, and I was mispronouncing your stuff the whole entire time." So, but anyways, with that being said, let me run through the rest of these real quick, and then of course, Ed Marvin, Flash in Your Pan, get your ass over there, subscribe to his channel. I'm going to put the banner up for his website one more time and let that roll for a couple of minutes. Absolutely get your ass over there. Show him some love. He has some phenomenal stuff going on over there on his website. Let's see. Ed's popping up with the micro mat in his hand. Ed, go ahead and give a shout out, brother, man.
Do you have your giveaway tab up?
Oh, that's right. That's right. We that's so funny. I'm so damn rusty getting back into the Digging Deeper podcast that I forgot that we like to do giveaways toward the end of the show. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do a giveaway real quick. Everybody want to do a giveaway? Go ahead and drop some comments in there. Let's see. We got Terry in the building. We got a bunch of awesome, phenomenal people in the building this evening. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I was just looking. The Facebook comments are blowing up here.
Just absolutely awesome. Terry, hey, we're going to get together here soon, brother, man. Get some awesome stuff planned.
Of course.
So what we're going to do for that giveaway, Mr. Ed, is we're going to have each and every individual put a number in the comment section. I'm going to put up a random comment generator. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 through... Let's make
numbers. Oh my God. You'll learn. You'll learn.
Well,
I'll just leave it at that. You'll learn.
So you know what? I have learned. So we're actually going to switch that up, and we're going to do a name generator. That is so much quicker. I remember I messed up one time, and like 3 different people had the same number, and it went on for 45 minutes. I said, "The hell with it. I'm just going to give all of you guys something to walk away with and learn my lesson on that." So. Thanks for bringing
Welcome back, Jim.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do the good old tried and true wheel of names. So with that being said, go ahead and drop your first and last name in there. I'm going to copy, cut, and paste. I'm going to throw it in the good old name wheel. And Ed, what are they going to win for tonight?
Well, if you have a banjo pan, this might be the medium for you. It is designed to go into the banjo pan. They were first started by this guy named Ed Marvin. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's from Flash in Your Pan. And he decided to cut up a dream mat, micro mat, to go in his banjo pan. And now they're available either at flashinyourpan.com or prospectorsdream.com.
Right.
They're a little more expensive on my website because shipping's included. But
in fact, I think let me go dig into the good old box of goodies over here and see what I can throw in to make it a little extra. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Arrow, if you want to go ahead and grab all those names, give them shout outs while you're grabbing the names. Get those all written down real quick. Let me grab. I got something that I've been wanting to give away for a while that I'm no longer going to use. It's brand spanking new, and I know one of these individuals is going to be able to use it. So give me just a moment here.
Hold on, I'm looking.
Grab it out of the old box.
Names. I have a slow computer that makes this hard to do, so I got to scroll through my cell phone to look.
I'm gonna cut my camera for a little bit.
Oh,
Hero, but I'll be right here. No, I'll be right here. You'll have a nice little picture of me with my thumbs up. So
let's see here.
All right, I'm back.
He's back.
I'm back with a plan. All right, so this is absolutely phenomenal product. Like I said, I'm sure there's multiple uses for it. You got yourself a skill saw. You got something you can cut it up and put it into whatever you got going on. Like we were talking about earlier, all miners and prospectors they have that type of ingenuity to them. So with that being said, without further ado, we have this guy right here.
Got a cube mat.
Yes, sir, to add to the package. So not only will you get this bad boy, you're also going to get that micro mat from Mr. Ed Marvin.
Yeah, for the banjo pan.
Without further ado, you'll have just enough mat to be able to get you going and doing what you need to do. So who said I need a hat? Rick Stash says I need a hat.
And so do I. I collect them. So
that's one of the announcements. We're gonna have the hats for sale here very, very soon. IB Neal says, "Can I win a gas card?" No, we're not. We're not doing gas cards, buddy. But as far as the hat goes, we have some people in the PB team that's taking care of the website. We got some really awesome people. Shout out to Chris Hayes. He's one of our other tech gurus besides myself. That we're going to be upgrading the website. We're going to have a whole slew of products. We were going to be releasing the brand new PB T-shirt this evening. As you know, things get in the way, and we won't be releasing the new design, the new wear for the PB family till probably next Thursday's podcast. Other announcements while he's taking down the names. The other announcements, we have an absolutely phenomenal group dig back east. I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of information. We're going to have a promo flyer. I was supposed to release the promo flyer this evening also. That didn't happen. I'm about 80% done with it, but instead of releasing that and getting it done, I had to paint a bathroom. Good old renovation.
Life happens.
Yeah, new switches, outlets, yada yada yada. But anyway, so we have a phenomenal group dig that's happening back east. It'll be on the website. We'll have all the announcements and things like that on our website, www.prospectingbuddy.org. Just look out for all the different cool stuff that's going to be happening within the next, month or so. We kind of got a deadline to get this stuff done. But as far as the group dig back east goes, we have a phenomenal guy back east that we were just talking about, Ed. Mr. Jim McIntyre decided to host the Prospecting Buddy family back east. And of course,
Cottonwood Trails. I just might have to show up.
Yep, Cottonwood Trails Gold Camp. Jim McIntyre's the owner. We're going to have an absolutely phenomenal group dig. All the details, information, everything like that is going to be up on our website. It'll also be on our Facebook group. Once that flyer and promo comes out, it's going to be a selective amount of people that we're going to have sign up on the sign-up sheet. It'll be a 3-day group dig. It'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For those specific exact days, which I don't happen to have up on here for whatever. Oh, here it is. It'll be August 5th, 6th, 7th. It'll be a great dig. We got some people showing up with booths to be able to do different activities. We have plenty enough equipment for people to be able to dredge, high bank. And then we also have activities for the kiddos. Plenty enough activities for the kiddos, whether it's fossils, whether it's panning, stuff like that. So that's one of the bigger announcements. I wish I was more prepared, like I said. But when that promo and flyer comes out, it will be out by next Thursday's podcast. I'm just about done with it. And then, like I said, we're going to have a specific amount of people sign up for it. So look forward to that. We also have a group dig coming up that'll be in Canada. I have added some really good members on the PB team where we'll have a awesome group dig up in Canada. I can't say specifically where just yet, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. Obviously, it'll be coming up in more announcements as the week progresses. So with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this giveaway done. So,
did you get Tina Williams' message? She said add a Prospecting Buddy sucker pouch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, let me actually, I think I have some in one of these boxes. If you go on the website, Tina hand makes the leather snuffer bottle holders that she has on the Prospecting Buddy website. Those things are absolutely phenomenal. Make sure that you jump over there, grab yourself one of those. There's 2 different variations. James Dale, his daughter, hand makes organic cotton snuffer bottle holders as well. So if you don't want one, we have 2 different variations. Absolutely phenomenal. They're very durable, decently cheap, so it'll fit in your budget. And we have all different different colors and stuff like that. So, if you set your snuffer bottle holder down somewhere, you're going to be able to see it. Grab yourself an orange one, yellow one, so on and so forth. we got a comment here. Paul says, "Is this live right now or recorded earlier?" Paul Gray. Oh, man, this is live right now. This is live, brother.
Live or Memorex?
Live with badass Ed Marvin, flashing your fan.
Put your name on the list. Type your name in there.
Well, I have to congratulate you guys, PB. You're at 4,600 members of your group on Facebook. You're growing very well on YouTube.
And if you haven't gone over to YouTube yet, please go over there and crush the subscribe button. We don't smash.
Stamp it like you're a 10 stamp mill.
Yeah, you can stamp the subscribe button too. That's fine.
Yeah, so Ed, like I said, I really appreciate you, brother, man. We tried to make this happen the last couple of weeks. It was the stupid internet connectivity. I learned how to actually create an actual direct link cable with the plastic ends on both sides and the 6 different wires. I learned more than I've ever learned on connecting internet in the last 2 weeks than I probably have my whole entire life, right? But, had a few problems, but this podcast, I've been absolutely blessed to have you on here, man. You're a phenomenal dude. You have so much history to you.
You're too kind, man. It's been my pleasure joining you guys and being on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely awesome. It was a no-brainer. A couple of different guys were like, "Hey, let's get Ed on. Let's get Ed on." And I'm like, "You know what? Let's get Ed on here." It was only a matter of time before we made it happen, and I'm glad we actually made it happen because it's been a freaking phenomenal podcast. And for a guy like me, what's funny is I like to really dive deep into someone's life from start to where they're at now. And I was really intrigued by Ed in the shed. I kept hearing about Ed in the freaking shed.
I might have to bring those up back. I might have to bring those back, but
Right.
it won't be until my shop's clean because it's a hoarder mess right now.
No, like I said, I kept hearing about it, and I was absolutely intrigued. And then, here we are now. So, with that being said, Arrow, you got all the names, brother man. Let's get them thrown in.
I've got all the ones off Facebook here.
All right. So all the ones off of Facebook. Let's see if we get.
You get a participant list for you for YouTube.
It looks like. Let's see here. You got Christy on there from Facebook.
Many participants. Type, people, type.
No, we're gravy. We're gravy train. So let's go ahead and put some names in there. The majority of our audience is typically the PB family. That's what I absolutely love. We reach out as much as we can, and we try to be the best.
It takes time, but Jaron, whatever you guys do, because I've came close to throwing in the towel many of times. Don't give up.
Right.
Just keep going, pushing forward.
I appreciate
build it, and they will come.
I appreciate that. The amount of love, the amount of love that I've gotten from the PB family. And we talked about this 2, 3, 4 podcasts ago. I said, I've met some of the most phenomenal people through prospecting and mining that I've ever met in my life, and continue to have good friendships with them. Versus the people I grew up with, the people that I have, had hung around with family, this, that, and the other. The people that I've met in prospecting and mining alone, just in itself, tops that 1,000,000%. And it continues to top that. The love, the appreciation, the support, the camaraderie, and that goes all across the board, men, women, and all of them getting their kids involved and things like that. I mean, it's been such a whirlwind of such, positivity, and we're trying our best, man. We're trying our best. We want to keep the podcast going. We love the support we get from the podcast, and being able to talk to a person like we are right now, face to face, and really get to know them and see how they're, how they started and where they're at now. Like, good example, Yukon Alley. Love that woman and her husband to death. We did a podcast with her. We talked about the whole bear incident. And then here we see them on Freddie Dodge's Mine Rescue, and that just warmed my heart. To be able to talk to her about all the things that her and her husband has gone through to continue to do what they do.
I've been wanting to talk to her about joining us on Tuesday night Hangout Live.
You'll have a blast. Absolute blast. They are such a power couple, and what they do up there, they got some thick skin, extremely thick skin. Shotgun malfunctioning, and then taking the stock of the shotgun and hitting the bear in the face with it like that blew my mind completely. But those are some of the things that, they were explaining, that those are some of the normal things that you experience when you're up there doing what they do. So it's it definitely is a good podcast. Anybody that hasn't seen it, go check it out. With that being said, let's go ahead and get these names in here. Arrow, if you want to start popping off some names, I'll get them in this name wheel, and we'll get this giveaway cracking, man.
I got IB Neal. Leo Whiting. Sorry, Leo.
Go ahead and spell that last name.
Whiting.
All right.
Joseph Knowlton.
Okay.
Christy Parham.
Knowlton. Christy. I know Christy. All right, what do we got?
We got Tina Williams on there.
Oh, the good Tina Williams. Just added her to the PB team. All right, what else we got?
Some guy, Rick Stash.
Some guy. You're going to get flack for that when you guys go out digging this season.
Oh, it's all
What else
good.
we got?
I've already been flagged.
What else we got, Arrow?
Mike Crawford.
Mr. Mike Crawford. What else we got?
James Dale.
Mr. James. Hey, you're still in the building, brother, man. Hell yeah. Who else we got?
Jim McIntyre.
Ooh, Jim McIntyre. Hey, these mats will go good in your equipment, brother. What else you got?
Paul Gray.
Mr. Paul Gray, Mr. Sasquatch. What's up, brother?
That's
Who
all
else
I'm
we got?
seeing. That's all I'm seeing so far.
We also have Jason. Let's see here, Jason Atkinson, someone that I grew up with, good friend of mine. Rick Stash says I'm painting rocks for his hole. Oh, I love it. Absolutely. We also have YouTube. We also have Big Dog, Mr. One More Pan. Let's see. That should be it. Anybody else that didn't hear your name? Oh, Lithic Metals just jumped in the building. Anybody that didn't hear your name, put your name in. We are going for this bad boy right here. And then, Ed, if you want to go ahead and show that other marvelous piece of matting. That bad boy right there.
Got a snuffer bottle holder as well.
Oh, is that right? We got a snuffer bottle holder in there.
That's from Tina
made by Tina, handcrafted by Tina, I believe.
Well, let me grab that. I totally spaced that.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't have their name either on YouTube or Facebook, get it on there now. Just comment your full name and we'll get you on the list and we'll do this giveaway.
This guy right here, and like I said, this is an absolutely phenomenal snuffer bottle holder. Has really thick lacing, like I said, hand stitched leather. Boom, Prospecting Buddy logo. Worked really good for you. So that's what we were doing, Jason, and whoever else said, what are we doing? Now you know what we're doing. This bad boy right here, this bad boy right here, and Mr. Ed Marvin's micro sluice. So if you didn't hear your name, put your name in there real quick. Let's see. We got Chris Hayes. We're going to cut this off here in about a minute, so make sure you put your name in or else you're going to get missed. Terry, I'm going to butcher your last name, brother. Terry Fief. I'm going to say Terry Fief. Okay. We got Terry in the building. He's probably pissed at me now. I'm sure of it. Let's see. Who else we got? All right, that should be it. If you didn't hear your name, you got about another 43 seconds to go, and then we're spinning this bad boy and we're giving it out. Jim says, does the snuffer bottle holder come with gold in it? Absolutely not. No. No gold being entered into that snuffer bottle holder.
More room for you to put your own in it, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Mark I pronounced that last name. Wakefield, excuse me. Mark Wakefield, you're in, brother man.
Did Jason Atkinson get in?
Yep, he is in.
All right.
He is in. Let's see. Lost volume, damn it. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, okay, Barney. Terry says think Barney. How would you pronounce that then? Think Barney.
Come on, he's a youngster,
Barney
Terry.
5.
I'm sorry.
Oh, bringing in the age now. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, bringing in the age. Okay. All right, Fife. Terry Fife. I know how to pronounce your last name now, brother man. So we're great. Thanks, Arrow. I appreciate your love and support, buddy. I really lots of love coming from Arrow tonight. That's for damn sure. Oh, geez Louise. All right, so we have all the names that want to be on the wheel this evening. Let's go ahead and get a drum roll. Drum roll, please. First, getting all 3 prizes is going to be Mr. Jason Atkinson. Let me see if I can turn this bad boy around. I can't see if it's showing it. Oh, there's
No, it's showing me.
Mr. Jason Atkinson. Hey, brother, man, send me your address. That way I can get all that good stuff sent to you, and then I can send that address over to Ed. Ed can get it sent to you as well, brother, man. You are a well-deserving guy. That's for dang sure. Anyway, with that being said, I appreciate all you guys this evening staying on this late. I know it's a totally different time zone.
Almost a 3-hour show tonight.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
That must not have been that bad then.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, I guess we'll see here in the week or two. But right. I appreciate all you guys jumping on this evening. I really, really do. We're kicking off the Digging Deeper podcast in full gear. We have some absolutely phenomenal people coming on the podcast. I mean, I'd love to give you guys specifics and names, but I can't until we get them properly scheduled. But we have some insane people on the podcast. Absolutely insane. People you thought that would never be possible. So just stick with us. And then, like I said, next Thursday's podcast, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Really good guest. I'm not going to tell you who just yet. I want to keep it a surprise till Monday. Ed, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. You've been a phenomenal brother this evening.
It's always fun talking to you, man.
Always.
Yeah, I've had a blast being on with you guys. I appreciate it.
We try our best, and what better to come in with a bang than Mr. Ed Marvin flashing your pan himself for the first continuance of the Digging Deeper podcast. So I really appreciate you.
Shout out to the PB family, 4.6 thousand members. Thanks, guys. And
yeah, definitely.
If you're not over on Flash in the Pan, go join that one.
Get your butt over there. Don't hesitate. You see that website that's been scrolling down there? Get on that damn website ASAP.
There's links on there to my YouTube, Twitch, maybe not Twitch, but TikTok, all my multimedia sources or whatever, social media.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're part of Prospector Buddy, you're already part of the Flash fam.
That's right. So. Hell yeah, brother man. So with that being said, we love you guys. Ed, you have a good night, brother man. Arrow, you have a good night.
Then Arrow.
Till next
everybody.
Thursday. Y'all have a good night. Bam.
Good night.